I talk about getting shot a lot. It's kind of like my thing, my staple. But I do it kind of like a level of irony because like no one really cares. No one no one's ever really cared. Except a few choice people. But other than that, it didn't change or affect anybody's life, and that's what really hurt me. Yeah, no one really saw saw me that differently. They just uh, things happen, but it was more slow, a big impact over a long time. So it started to ripple and show forms. Uh, and I recognized like, hey, why didn't people care that I got shot? And it's because people didn't know me. People didn't know who I was, what I was about. They didn't see why my legs mattered. Why did I matter more than another? It's because I never really had a neighbor. I never really had people uh, need to stick their neck out. I was I was nothing. I was an entity. I was a cordial conversation. But there was no need to cry for me. There was no need for me to weep over me, to feel a sense of anger. I was no one and anyone in particular. I am a story that could easily have just been there was an idiot one time who got shot, or there was this guy. I was a place filler. I was an empty name, a vessel. And that's what disappointed me the most. It didn't make me upset with others. It made me look at myself like, what have I done with my life that had made people come to that conclusion that I was nothing. My pain was great. It was immense. The feeling was torturous, and yet people didn't care. Even when I was the most articulate in describing how intense the pain was, what it had done to my body, the damage, the career that was lost, the careers. Even though I went to the gym, I worked out, I had saved my leg, even though it was a witty story, it told how I had triumphed, how I had overcome the odds, how I had stayed mentally calm. Even when I had spurts of madness, I had showed a great set of intelligence and mindfulness, willpower. And yet the story does not engage in the majority of people. And I say, how? And I recognize why. There was two reasons. A, I never really engaged in the world. And B, the world, I say the society. I never engaged in society, and society never engaged with me in that form. We had it's like if we both went to the same high school, society and me. We went to the same high school at the same time. Maybe we both saw each other in the hallway one time, but never really interacted. I'm aware that me and society are same age and place and time, but the engagement, society is on this path that I am not, and I want to change that, or at least it was. But hopefully, what I mean by it is that society is society as a whole, and it's a white supremacy society. Cannot acknowledge me. For to acknowledge me would to make my acquaintance. And therefore, it cannot say lies about me. It cannot come to conclusions. It cannot ignore my pain. See, people only want to engage with others in certain situations. In high school, it's easy to engage with a lot of people because their experiences are akin to yours. Problems are often viewed and seen in the same lens. For the most part, it is seen in the same, it is a constant. And because of that, you can anticipate. So whether you're extremely bright or a little bit dense, you can more or less determine how someone would react. But as people grow up, as things start to change, I think elementary school and middle school are really that constant where we constant, this makes us happy, this makes us good. It's hard to tell who really stands out and who is really left behind because people think that they're smarter than they actually are sometimes. Someone might coin a question asked as a dumb question. Come on, that's obvious. And others might might have never even thought to think that. It's easy to other. See, those that stand out regardless if it's good or bad, if it's smart or if it's dumb, whatever someone like to say it. There are times where I said, "How do light bulbs work?" And the younger me, felt so stupid. Asking how does this work? Like everyone inherently came with the knowledge of how light bulbs work, how they just came to be. You just flip on the switch. I'm like, and I realized like, no, I mean just like how are they made? How do they produce light? Someone was like, not answering any more of your dumb questions because there's the pride and the shame and the embarrassment that comes from being a little condescending and then realizing no, they actually asked a smart question. I just assumed that they were dumb, and now that I don't want to look dumb in comparison. I'm just gonna keep rolling on this train. A lot of people do not know how to abort, especially very early on, because like you want everyone at a young age tells us to engage and to stay on and to ride it out. So to quit very early makes it sound like we're not progressing. It's like, okay, we'll teach you, just hold on, everyone hold on. But it doesn't allow us to jump off, to show fear, to ask why that fear is there, to articulate that. It just shows us everyone who holds on is strong. For me, I was born not a quitter, but I was born and knew my emotions. I had felt them. I didn't think that people knew how to engage. I think that um, I knew not to say anything because like when I asked these questions, when I felt these emotions, it seemed to make people uncomfortable. Our answers didn't really get quite answered correctly. And when I found that people could not answer them, like sometimes I would wait until I could find someone that I thought could. I didn't read terribly, but I didn't read well. I guess it was hard for me to stay focused. I would speak to God in my head, speak to anything. I didn't know what being, what deity, and it didn't matter. But I was not really in the realm that I never viewed myself as popular or good because like it was I already pre-assumed that I was different, that I was other. My very physical being produced an other. When I came into a room with people who already had pre-established friends, there was nothing I could do. They were friends longer than I, so I had accepted the secondary role, and this became my permanency. I never had a best friend. I never had people ask me or engage with me. I had to keep pushing myself and applying myself to get them to acknowledge me. That became an immense amount of pressure and time, and I had grown stronger under this constant pressure. But after a while, no amount of energy is finite, is infinite. It's all finite. It takes its toll. And when you grow up, you get out of high school, you get out of any place, it's like a reset, a constant reset, and you're at the bottom of the barrel. I'm already knowing that whatever position I'm at a disadvantage. Yeah, it's hard to maintain a status that is a delusion. Like I know that if I go into a place academically or just holding to the social status and the social norms, I'm not going to meet them. I already know. That's why I start out with my best foot and try to be charismatic and dynamic off rip, because I know that that energy will quickly fade. And I leave not because I am trying to create a mystique. It does have a form of doing that. It has it can. It's a byproduct. I used to think that was the main reason why I did it, but that's no, that was just a byproduct. I did it because like I needed time to rest and recover and to grieve, making people want for more, maybe seeming more interesting, creating a positive profile of me that uses their own energy to build something that is greater than my own. Because it's like filling someone with engaging content, because I know that eventually I will drain. I will pour down so much. So it's better for me to show up less, to show up with greater impact in less frequency than to show up with mediocre impact in high um, frequency. And that's also what I see with YouTube videos and in content creation. I see so many people that show up with high frequency, but they're mediocre. So yeah, I get to see their face, but they didn't really do anything. And eventually, over time, you kind of just stop caring. And what they do to make up with it is this artificial, high intense emotion. They're screaming, they're yelling, they're trying to create fake laughter, but it's so inauthentic. It's so fake that you just like, at least for me, I just immediately am I just don't want it. But others might engage with it a long time, and because of it, it keeps them kind of stagnant, like sedating you, like because you wasted all your energy fake yelling with them. Someone who uh, can constantly keep up with this loud and um, they even grab people to increase the intensity of the of being loud. Like you'll be like, "Hey, I brought a friend from another channel, and we're all gonna yell and scream together. We're all yeah, openings, gifts. And we're gonna watch clips." See, it's clever tactics, and sometimes it's with I see with videos what is also done is that they get others voices by like memes or references. But I think that's why society kind of stinks right now, or at least social media in the context. No, I say society, because it takes from others' work, but it doesn't really exemplify their own. When you separate the words, it doesn't really quite carry anymore. People are trying to make social critiques and commentary, but only 1 or 2 years after the event happened, the dust didn't settle. And because every year it is someone changing and revamping and increasing, like and doing it for a viewer count, that their own morality and ethics are doughy at best. Where someone can point out hypocrisies but not explain why is it so bad to point out hypocrisy, or why is hypocrisy bad. Hypocrisy is, it shouldn't just be explained as bad for the sake of being bad. It needs to be understood why it's bad, what it could be done, um, and like what is the potential dangers, what are the hazards, what are other ways that it can be seen, not only on the small scale but large scales, even larger than what is currently being shown. Oh, this is large scale hypocrisy. If it was, like, some people don't even understand hypocrisy is not like being called out. If you say large scale hypocrisy, that in a mass views in politics, that is not the most dangerous thing. Large hypocrisy is something that is easy to define, it is easy to be seen, it's often very simple, and at the same time doesn't require that much. It doesn't require that much because the input, the effects aren't going to be that rippling and big, because you can't really chuck a mountain at somebody. If you could, you would rule the world. But it's a very large hypocrisy if someone just like, hey, I scaled Mount. No, it says that I've been all across America. It's like that's a lie. All across, you've touched every bit of land. No, well, I've been to the majority of the states. I've been to the most important parts of the states. I've been to 10 of the states. It's like, and you've only been to two. You haven't been anywhere. It's like, how can you say that when you've only been to 10? But it's a small hypocrisy, or it's a large hypocrisy, because it's like it's easy to counteract, but are you really going to do anything about it? The small hypocrisies are the most dangerous, like bullets traveling at high speeds, and no one can really track them down or catch them, so they can be mixed in with everything else, like a radiated sand mixed with regular sand. How can you find which grain is irradiated and which isn't? That is the damage. Um, what was I saying? So with social media, it's just, you have loud, you substituted, everyone's screaming, everyone's making big hypocrisies that are obvious, but because no one really wants to do anything about that. Like, no one wants to move that. No one wants to break that down and sit there. So you have a lot of people that break it down in a very obvious way, like this is a hypocrisy, and then they just leave it there. But then the content becomes bland. Like, everyone just breaks it down and just leaves it there, because they say if I go any further, then it's going to be a lot of work with very little incentive. And because, like, I'm trying to get paid off of social media, I'm not going to do it. And that's what all of this really is: trying to get paid off of social media, trying to market the education to entertainment market, and it's bad. It sucks. Who I'm usually learning from may have factual statements, but like ethical errors. Like, I was watching a video about the civil rights. No, it's not civil rights. Civil War. Yeah, the Civil War. And people constantly, I say, get this wrong. The Civil War was fought over enslavement, people enslaving black people. We were the product. We were the whole reason. If you remove, we're the common denominator. If you remove black people from that situation, there wouldn't have been a civil war. There wouldn't have been an issue for whatever rhyme or reason. Now people go out and say, okay, it was states' rights, it was, um, something like the Union, the Confederacy was mad. The Union wanted to keep, um, what's it called, America whole. It doesn't really matter because if black people weren't there, this would never have happened. Whatever the action or lack thereof, it wouldn't have happened. So the Union, like, now maybe the Southern economy wouldn't have been as strong. Maybe America would have never been as big without the blood of black men and women and children. Don't forget the children and elderly and disabled. Everyone that from black descent, um, that were forced into producing labor with no pay and still have not gotten paid for their work, not acknowledged, never given like I won't even say given an apology because it's like that's not even something that I say at this point is really worth it because an apology is only worth it if you're willing to do the whole apology. I'm sorry. Here's the action. This is what I did. This is how it affected you. This is what I'm gonna do about it. Not some, oh, I'm sorry, slavery happened. Anywho, let's go pay with the credit card that we've used with the money that we stolen. That's so unless someone's really about to give an apology, then I don't want any substitute, no government apology. Um, but anywho, all of it really just going that I watched this video and the people just said, "Oh, this was about something that was not akin to black people being the main reason." So it wasn't a misinput. That was directly what they believed, and because of that, people start to kind of believe that too. And then they really do tend to ignore black people and just the pain that was caused. They're like, oh man, it was terrible, it was horrible. They know the words, they know how to say the words, but they don't know how to feel. I could keep going. Like imagine if every event that keeps going on, it's terrible, it's horrible. Anywho, and then we move on and just say, here's all the cool facts about like the wars and the battle. Like there's never really videos that are forcing children, forcing people to digest just how terrible the actions were, just how they currently affect things. They're supposed to be so entertaining, and so academic that they never allow the necessary feelings to hit. It's watching someone just walk over someone's corpse and say this is, or walk over someone's grave and say this was a grave field of enslaved or slaves. It's sad they were slaves. How bad that they were slaves. How terrible. And here's the brave men and women who fought to free them. Free them? To free them. When it's not, they were never not free. Or the people that had chained them, had beat them, had lied to them, had manipulated them, had gaslighted them, and still their actions had shown that they were still free because they were fighting them the entire time. They never once submitted. It's not you. It's not like there's no part of consent. There was never a saying, yes, you can have my freedom. It was coerced through pain, through torture, through torment, and it only was worse. It only became worse and worse because every generation would refuse the same thing. And even now, that's why it's still happening, because it's um, The very last thing that people want to admit is like, yeah, this this wasn't a white people helping anyone. This was a an absence of ethics. This was this was a weakness of morality, and it still is. And and people refuse to hand up power to let someone else have control over this narrative because it will show uh, everyone in a bad light, even till this day. It will show like how many people, like, if you start telling the story exactly how it was, how it is, the feelings, well, then you start to know how it trickles back down and who are current culprits. For a crime never ends. See, if let's say that I get murdered and I get murdered by a serial killer and they never catch the serial killer. And then they finally find that the serial killer, let's say, is a cop, um, and they didn't catch him for like 20 years. They want him to die. They want him to be old. They want him to take all this penalty and then go into jail and then die 2 years later. Because then they say, case solved, justice finally served. But you know why there's an empty feeling, why it doesn't feel right? There goes the question, why did it take so long to find this guy? And then they always make someone sound like a mass genius, sounding like they have really um, like devised like echolocation and invisibility. Like they did some Naruto stuff and now they shadow clones going all across the country and killing multiple people. No. The truth of why many events happen is indifference, negligence. It goes that, hey, this person who had been shown to have mental health issues, denied mental health treatment, did something that was considered insane. Police officers who it's not in their job description to help or protect the citizens of the United States did what's not in their job description and didn't protect the citizens. They let it go. They said, "Man, this will. I don't want this type of overtime." They were afraid for their lives, and they didn't solve it. They carried the body away. They cleaned up the room. They sold the room off to someone else with a new fresh coat of paint, and no one ever talks about it. Now they said, "Hey, we solved it," and they put a guy away. Yeah, thanks to DNA and all that. That's only now. That's only with actual scrutiny. That's what people, saying, "Hey, there was way too many of that." And people are starting to get comfortable with that. So jobs and descriptions and cracking down, and people actually truly feeling like they want to do something, and they did it. They said, "Hey, this can be done, and I can mass produce it, and we can make machines and do that constantly." And then rich people are like, "Oh, well, if you could do that, it will make me sound good, and you can catch low level criminals, and it'll make the slaves happy." So of course they're gonna do it. It's not a matter of moral, ethical advancement. It was more that the people who typically were more indifferent saw a profit opportunity. They saw advancement in saying, "Hey, the people would be focused on cheering instead of scorning. Do it. It's a small time investment. If someone's dedicated their whole life to do that, then I'll pay that person who's dedicated, because if they're focused on that, they're never going to be focused on me. Because I don't do those specific crimes. I do other unethical crimes. Like I rip your grandmother off, or I force you to pay insurance for things that you're not currently using, and then penalize you if you want to pause that or not pay. There's other crimes. It's not when you start to look at things and trace them, they're not done out of the. Not everyone is doing this as a as a ethical and moral, their heart is in the game. They do it because it is profitable. And that is why there's such a lack of content, such a blase affair where you just hear people speaking about certain events in glee, showing a cartoon, these effects, these animations, but they don't have heart. They don't talk with care about these people. People. They make it marketable. They make it fun. They make it something so you could have a little bit more information or education than than I guess your classmates. So you can sound smart at a debate. But do you care about the people? Do you ever sit there and actually care about this event? So many things have been made poetry, and philosophy and poetry has had a history. I believe it was Socrates. Poetry is easy. That's why everyone can do it. But maybe it was Plato. I'm not sure who it was. Um, but poetry is easy. That's why everyone can do it. Philosophy is difficult because like it's easy to rhyme. It's easy to make something that sounds deep, but is it really? It sounds like you're doing such a good thing in poetry. But I saw a video of a man talking about the Confederacy and the Union, and he dressed up like both. And he made the Confederacy like a giant spoiling child and yelling and debunking all of these talking points. And I said, "What are you doing? You're dressing up like a Confederate. That's like me dressing up like a Nazi, and then having I don't know, an Allied soldier right next to each other, and be like, oh, the Nazis did this, and I'm gonna debunk these concepts. Why are you making it entertaining? Yeah, to me, a Confederate, a Confederacy battle uniform, whatever it is, that's it's terrifying. That is akin to you dressing up like a Nazi. If it's not done in any way that's like, hey, I'm trying to make a movie, I'm playing a theatrical role. You doing it for humor. You doing it as cosplay. You telling this to even mock them can be, it's not really done tastefully. It didn't feel like it was done tastefully. It didn't try to do something historical and show what they were likely to do. It was just something that was done as a gimmick. To dress as a Nazi as a gimmick, to turn it into a joke, is to forget the fear that it was done, that people had to see witnessing men in gray who were pro enslaving you, who wanted to beat you, who were okay with you being dragged in the street, thrown in the mud. They would rather shoot you than let you go, even if you promise never to do anything to them. Not because they hate you, but because they don't see you as anything. And to wear it like a costume for a video, to make content, to make videos that are laughing at the mockery, like what's good, cuz, ha ha ha, that's gangster, that's hood. To make videos that are always trying to talk about rap music and welcome back to trap videos, welcome back to the rap game, welcome back, welcome back to trap, or what? I forget the name. Just you have so many things centered around black people, and the only time black people get amplified is we either become so heavy academics that we even lose the soul in the words that we are saying, or that they they don't even know themselves, and we're expected to educate them on the job, on the spot, or then despise them, take them down, and it's distracting because it doesn't really give a place or a chance for people to truly grieve, because like it's not going to be it's not going to be something that people want to give money right away. Anything good doesn't come immediate. You kind of have to work for it, and then you just stick by it and let someone grieve. You want to answer to a problem? Sometimes the answer is really, really long. If I said the entire number of pi, I would be there for an eternity. But if you said do it to 1,000 digits, well, you're going to have to sit there and wait for me to say each and every digit. And then you're going to have to check if I said each and every digit correct. Why ask if you don't really want the answer? My problem with a lot of content creating and a lot of videos is that I often do this in my free time. So I'm doing it when I'm tired, when I'm angry, when I'm sad, when I'm hungry. Right now I'm really tired, and I'm still pushing myself to do it because like I know this style is what's going to save these platforms. This style is what's going to save content creating, because I'm trying to make people aware it's just you. Boil it down to everything else. Are you cool or you're not? Are you smart or you're not? Are you really, what are you speaking? What you saying? What are you going with? I hear detached voices, or I see faces that are trendy, but I don't know who these people are. When I watch those I used to watch Swoozy, and I watch those videos where they're drawn really well, but they're always primarily in high school. I go, is this person still in high school? Is this person like they're drawing these children, these other children like adults? Do they look like that? It's like, and then they're always a little bit messy. But I'm like, would I laugh with a 17-year-old the way, like, let's say for the sake of this, hopefully, I'm gonna put some lotion on my face just to avoid ashy allegations. If let's say that this person's 17 and I'm watching their video, it's a million views. I'm in my 20s. I'm in my late 20s. What do I have in common with a 17-year-old to be laughing at? Oh man, she's a thought. She's a buster. She's for everybody. You would think I was lame if in real life me and that person came together and I was listening to that story. I'd be appalled. Now, the difference when I'm watching those videos is that it makes me feel a little bit young. It takes me back to a time where I thought or heard like that. But I also recognize that that's not me anymore. Like, I don't fully agree. I'm not gonna like it. Like, what I hear with the videos, I immediately feel like having a dad talk and say, "Listen, youngster, that's not how all women are gonna be. In this right here, I can see problems. I can hear, like, why are you in this drama? You could be paying attention to class. You out here drawing people, writing people, saying people's names, changing the names to tell this story. And is that really the truth? What is this person going through hard? It turns me into a dad mode. But these people have so much power because they can be entertaining, because they have massive amounts of views. And it's like, you don't have to be necessarily smart to get engagement. A million views doesn't mean that the many will always, like, if you look at charts, there could be many that are below average or just average, and then there's above average. Not every sense of like every view video, even if it's vastly educated, it can meet to the masses as long as it's produced well. That means that anything that's produced well would most likely hit one half of the hill. And if one half it hits one half of the hill, well, then the other half is going to watch just to see what the to keep it balanced, to make sure that they're not out of the loop. It's just the way that things are. That I make these tired and a little bit off. Didn't eat breakfast. I do it um, also to provide someone like, hey, okay, now that I took all the embarrassment, I showed somebody how someone could actually speak and be distracted and kind of be a little bit off. Do it better, but don't do it completely scripted. That's what annoys me. It's so uneasy, so so artificial, so manicured that it's like someone should say, "Hey, you know what? You seem distracted. Let's end the conversation." That's how it should go. I'm not trying to meet quotas. It's like, oh, I'm trying to be on here as long as I can to push it, to have this conversation. But in real life, a conversation ends. And it should show an awkwardness. And it should show, hey, this is what happens when you keep going and going and going and going. This is how I do at a job when I keep going and going and going and going. I get distracted. I get tired. I'm like, I'm trying, I'm pushing, because that's what all these jobs are. Push, push, push. And then it's like, my brain stalls. And they say, why don't you go eat? You go eat when you're stressed that you paying these exorbitant fees, these grocery bills, the food that you're trying to learn how to cook is not in abundance. So if you mess it up, this will be your only meal. You eat when you got IBS and GERD, and when you're traumatized, when you're sick, when you're working an 8-hour shift. Can those factory workers stop and have a sandwich? Can those factory workers sit and digest their food? It's hard to eat a meal by myself. It's hard to eat a meal when I think, is this the last time I'm ever going to have such a great meal? And maybe I should have spent a little bit more just going on something more filling. When I'm thinking about, should I have had 1,000 cheap meals or just one good one? All this hits and dawns on me. So much so to the point where when I make works like this, at least I can feel like I won't get beat over with a whip. I can produce something. I could say, you seen me work all day. I know it's not as efficient. I know that if I ate and I can make it efficient, I can be wow. But you don't get that. You shouldn't get that. You shouldn't get to see me in my best when I am not at my best. You should see everything of me. You should feel bad. You should be like, hey, you know what? I'm watching this guy really try to do these things. He has potential. Here's the money. Here's where the money is going. I see other content creators, and it's not to, other and look at them. I say, is this really for the love of the game, or is it for money? When does it end? Do you want to do this forever? Is this what you want to rely on? Like, when do I get to retire? When do I get to have fun? When do I get to say I can live off the state and not touch anything ever again? I don't know how to farm. I don't know how to build houses. And I'm not sure if things are going to stay. And historically, no one has cared if I had made it or not. I've done all this work to be at this level. So at least, the very least, before I drown, I get to say some kind words. I get to tell my tale and the tales of others before I go. Because, like, the last thing I want to do is let you know that all that you had agreed with and the people that had you had agreed with had lied to me. And you know that they lied to me. Not with me saying that they lied to you, but by me speaking in the way that you understand. Me being the way that I am denies the lies that have been attributed to me and people like me. You cannot put me in a monolith. And because of that, because I am unique, you'll sit there and think, this person was unique. This person had done everything that was told, and they still didn't survive. You can't say that lie again. Not with pride and impunity. Not with this delusion anymore. So and I will point out that you had perpetuated this lie. You knew that this was a lie. You are a contributor. You have blood on your hands. And I won't give you the out that you so crave. I forgive you. I forgive you for killing my kids. No, I don't. I don't forgive you, but I won't attack you. I don't forgive you, and I'm going to just settle with this pain. I don't forgive you. That that is a hard pill to swallow, and you can't swallow it. You're not meant to swallow it. You maybe if you chip at it, maybe over time, maybe into your entire lifetime, and maybe past a couple generations. Maybe then you could start to swallow it. But until then, you're just going to make um, small hypocrisies that could be thrown into our rivers and our lakes and our air to pollute all of this, so you can feel like you've hidden and disguised. But even though I don't know what you had thrown into the ocean, I knew that you dumped lies and trash into the ocean. I knew that you dumped it. I don't need to have the evidence. If I make the crime of dumping anything at these times, then you are guilty. But you will never make crimes that actually, prevent. And you will never make laws that actually prevent these crimes. You will only sit there to punish those that do not appear to that aren't sneaky enough, that aren't clever enough, that aren't rich enough to be able to break it. Yes, there is crime, but if you do not actually persecute crime, if you do not try to prevent crime, then you yourself are a criminal. You're either a criminal or you're not. You're either a murderer or you're not. Well, I say even in that. Well, again, no. Still working on that one. Because the truth is, are you willing to kill? And when are you willing to stop? What would make you kill? To those that never have asked themselves that question, they are not above anyone. Simply not asking the question does not make you a better man. For there might be a time that you are faced with it. If you're alive in this world, you will be faced with death. Whether it be you aiding in it, you turning your head away from it, you being the person yourself. So yes, you're either a murderer or you're not. For I've seen, I asked myself, did this person deserve to die, and what could I have done? Why did they die? And there are those that I know that I'm aiding and helping lock up for the rest of their lives. And he might not have been guilty of the crime or not even deserving of that punishment. What is a punishment in chattel slavery, which we are still under? Where I could say, yeah, it's justified to lock up homeless people and to kick people out of their homes, or to make housing so inexpensive, or so expensive. Not inexpensive. Every time I throw away something, and I don't do it properly, I know I'm not doing it properly because I wasn't trained to do it properly. So I know that, hey, I could train to do it, but then I would be exhausted, and me being exhausted might put me in the same position as them. It is me or them. I know I waste money and resources and time, and sometimes I make mistakes. And society says if you make mistakes, then these people's death are on your hands. But I go, you're making me play a game with these people's lives. You're making me do these things, knowing that lives are in the balance, and you're trying to contribute their body count to me. But it's not. When I move my hands, even though people scream, the ropes get tighter around their necks, they don't scream to me. Yes, I will hear them scream, stop, and you're killing me. But I know in my heart that that's not for me. That's why it seems like I'm almost cold. But I know it's like, that's not me. They'll kill you regardless. It's hard to say, but you're already dead. They won't spare you. They won't let you go. You think that they'll tie you up, have you by the neck, and enslave you now, and you think that you'll once you've had your turn with your neck around the noose, they're gonna cut you off and bring you back? They already coined you expendable. So then, looking back, going back into the old ways will only lead you back into the inevitable being having the noose around your neck again. You'll be there again eventually. And you think that you're going to die some triumphant death, or you're going to free yourself? Choosing freedom late when it's been in your face. You pleading and begging to men that you know, men and women that you know aren't the persons that putting you in this situation. Identifying the true harm, the true cause. It is that is a task for strong people. And strong people we must be. If you're not a strong person, become a strong person. For like being a good person, it is a conscious action. It's a choice that one has to choose for their own soul. The same way to be strong is to pay attention to what is going on, to move your hand, even if the ropes tied around your wrist and arms would choke another. I do not sit there and laugh or jeer, nor do I cry and I fill myself with anger. I just note I did not tie these ropes around my hand as I moved my wrist to cut the bomb off, to perform surgery to save this one life. I didn't cause that. Those deaths are not on me. It is on the man or the men and women, the society that allowed that rope to be tied to my wrist. And it is on the person that had told me, if you move your hands, you will kill another. For they are trying to pin this blood on me. They are trying to keep me still. They are trying to bound me. But what is life for both of us if me not moving, even to wipe my own nose, to go to the bathroom, allows you to draw a breath. But are you really living? It is simply the fear of the unknown. It it's scary, but death isn't always that scary. That's why I think that in in white society and white supremacy, that those who fear death, I think that whiteness fears death the most. I feel that it truly is bogged by it because why speak of death in such this foreign and often negative tone? It's always so somber, and the music towards it so sad and depressed. I believe my ancestors viewed death very much like I did. I do find them, and it sucks sometimes, but it's happy to have an end. I'm glad that I lived. We dance, we eat, we sleep, but I can't do it forever. As every party has to end, and a sunrise will come, and someone else gets to be the life of the party. As I got to be a child in my early years and grow up, I never looked back and said, man, I wish I could go back to being 10. Because when I was when I was 10, I was too busy looking at everyone at the party as I continued to do, and just noticed that I got a little bit taller and then a little bit shorter, and then I was dead. You could tell who is guilty because they fear the end, because they fear getting caught with their guilt, their shame. Death has always been portrayed in this way. It is horrific because it's been made horrific. It is made a slaughter. It has been made a paranoid and what's it called? Devastating affair that people don't go out and do what they love. They simply do what they were supposed to do to live to another day, and then they died trying to live and cling on to a meaningless life. But a life that is fully lived doesn't get mourned over. It is said in happiness that they lived. The only reason that we mourn and we cry is that our lives are fighting to go back into that state where we could simply just be a family once again. We're people, indigenous people who are the monolith, the minority. They're not fighting to live simply because they hate or they want to tear down white supremacy. They're doing it to save friends and family. They're doing it to save one's soul just a minute longer. Just save them a second in the pool of all eternity in this temporal frame. To show them, to remind them, hey, you can change. To save the people that have harmed them most of their fate, because they will be rewarded. In fact, I say that kill me, and all you've done is just solidified me as this good man. That's why it doesn't matter where I go, what I do. When I die, I'm just him. I live, and then someone else, they go and when they die, they're gonna have to give it all back anyway. And then I'll be sitting there waiting, and I'll be like, dude, now I gotta supervise you to make sure that you did it correctly. Now my legacy will be that of a grim reaper, waiting for you to finish your chores, or like a parent waiting for you to finish your chores. Then when you do it, I can walk back into heaven with you. We're all gonna go to heaven. It's just you thought that you were too ambiguous, too. Um, I forget what the word. You you rushed, too anxious, and you did it. And now I have to wait for you, but that's fine. I'll wait for you on the stairway of heaven. I'll wait for you at the gates, and it won't be some like slick speech. It won't be anything. It will be me waiting with my leg and waiting for you to pick me up, carry me to the gates of heaven, and you could be exactly what you always wanted to be, my servant. You would wash my feet. You would brush my hair. You would massage my aching muscles until I'm ready to get up and do that myself. I think that that's because I give you purpose. You can hate me. This hate isn't even about me. It's someone that hates their purpose, that is born and just despises, um, like I won't say despises, but hates the name that they're given, that hates the role and says, I'm going to change it. Like a man who was born to be the butler demanding to be king, and sees who was born to that position and simply switches it and says, if it was that easy, see, a mistake has been righted, so I am king. And because of that, they live as a false king. They're not truly, it's just a nameplate. They could put a crown on their head. They could command armies and navies, and they can sit there and ride horses and eat food. It doesn't make them any more of a king than they were. The king is just a title, like as anything else. A king will be a king wherever they go. A king will be a king even if he also is a farmer. A king will be a king even if he is a waiter. A king is a king even if he is a soldier. For, again, just a title. And a servant and a common man, someone who is boring, someone who is impatient, someone who's impertinent. It doesn't matter how educated they are. A fool is a fool, with a degree or not. And when you see these men and women and people walking around with their heads high because they're speaking of their status and their position, and you wonder, in time, is this like a man talking about like I'm a photography develop management. I am the manager of Walmart. At a time, that was an achievement. Like if I was in high school and someone had named me assistant manager at 17, that would have been an impressive title. But now that I'm nearly 30, it kind of seems like it's a little bit too late. It's not bad, but I say that these titles hold no weight because it's the person who is ashamed or proud of them that really makes them. That I say at the end of the day, it's, do I love what I do? Doesn't matter what I do. I would be the most proud grocery store worker if I could provide for my family. And I provide them well. To others, they wouldn't be caught dead in those positions. Oh, you work at the mall, that's terrible. You sell things at Costco, like those little weenies. I say that person has a job. That person goes home and their family probably loves them. To us, that anyone who has extra time and using that extra time to sneer and jeer and speak badly about people always kind of make me laugh a little bit, because like All that extra time for what? I'm pretty sure if that person had all that extra time, you know what I think that they would do? Spend it with their family. There's a peace in this world. There's a peace in this world, and at first I thought we go find this peace in the world, and come to realize that I'm the peace in this world. It is actions. Peace will find peace because it's like pieces into a whole. That it is easy to find good when you do good yourself, for you will recognize the actions. You will know, you will find wicked because wicked will find wicked. For you will be attracted to the actions. If you're attracted to yourself, that is why when the good do wicked things and they feel themselves ugly, they might find people who do similar things, but they will always eventually find them unattractive. That is why drinking and smoking and consuming recreational drugs or alcohol or cigarettes or something, it doesn't matter, just to blur your vision in order to just keep you going is the greatest fool's game, because it's like you're trying to your mind is telling you, hey, I don't like this, and you're going, yeah, you don't like it, but keep going. Why? Because if you do, what am I? And people go through harder battles in order to avoid the truest ones. If you say to yourself why this is, who you really are fighting, until you put down the alcohol and you say it's easy for you to say. It's not any easier for me to say it as it because I had to do it just like anyone else. Someone, I guess it is easy to say. It's hard to do. But I think I'm doing it. Now I know I'm doing it because I refuse to be somebody and anybody in particular. Nobody and anybody in particular. Hate to be their pawn. Simply because I like playing the game myself. With that being said, I'm done.